In this conversation, we're talking about somatic practices. Every girlie should know, no exceptions. Now, if you're not a girlie, still hang around because there's information here for you. But I will be talking about physiological and biological rhythms of the ladies that is important in somatic practices. Now, if you haven't heard the term somatic before, somatic healing, somatic movement, somatic practices, a brand new concept for you, I definitely recommend you check out my video, Somatic Healing for Beginners, that gives you a little bit more context about what it is that we're talking about. But long story short, somatic just means the body, and somatic healing means healing from the body. And somatic practices are practices that you do in the body. So complicated, right? Now, we actually do complicate the understanding of somatic practices because we think it needs to look a certain way or feel a certain way or supposed to do a certain thing. When that is true, there are certain pathways where you can do somatic practices that do different things. We're going to talk about the basics, the basic things that you have to know when you're getting into somatic healing work. Now, when you're doing your healing work, whether it's self-development, personal growth, spiritual exploration, it doesn't matter. You're doing a lot of work up here in your head. You're doing your mindsets, your affirmation, your cognitive behavioral, you're reprogramming, repatterning, you're changing your perspectives, you're seeing things in a different way. And while all those things are very, very important, there's also a different piece of the puzzle that happens in your physical body, because your body holds emotions. It holds trauma, it holds memories, it holds stories, it holds pieces of information that we're not really able to access just by thinking about it. We actually have to feel through it. So somatic practices are basically things that allow you to connect the mind body together. So we're not saying mind is not important and only body, and we're not saying body is not important, only mind. Sometimes we have a unbalanced perspective of what we think is important. The practice of somatics is to really blend the two together. What is my body saying and how it is that I can interpret that, and what is it that I think and how is it that I can feel that in my physical body. Now, the two things that I'm going to say to you is going to feel like too simple. You're going to say, really? That's it? It just seemed very obvious. And that's kind of the point, because a lot of the healing work we tend to overcomplicate, but when we simplify it, it's going to take you further than you ever imagined. The first somatic practice that you have to know is intuitive movement. Now, intuitive movement is exactly what it sounds like. It's intuition about the way that you move. Now, a lot of times we want instructions, like, am I doing it right? Like, am I supposed to move my shoulder? What if I want to shake? Is that okay? Like, what if I want to make a sound? What if I want to gyrate? What if I want to bounce? What if I want to growl? What if I want to, is that okay? Right? We're looking for permission. But the thing about your intuition is that your intuition already knows what your body needs. Your physical body is always sending you cues. It's sending you clues, and it's asking for you to express in the way that it needs to express. Now, different times of the month, you're going to need a different thing. So it's not like you need to shout all the time, or you need to lay all the time, or you need to X, Y, and Z all the time. It's to say different parts of the month and different parts of your cycle, whether you're menstruating, whether you're perimenopausal, whether you're postmenopausal, whether you're menopausal, whether you're prenatal, whether you're experiencing a pregnancy, there's different hormones and different rhythms that play. And it's important that we actually listen to those things. So certain times of the month, your body's going to say, wow, I really need to move through my hips, or I really need to move through my shoulders because I'm feeling constriction, or I'm feeling this energy that is collected, or I'm feeling emotions in my stomach and I don't know what it is. I'm feeling all these chemicals that are coming up. So your body is experiencing different types of rhythms in different times of the month, and your body's going to want to express those things accordingly. Now, I can't tell you that this time of the month you should shake and this time of the month you shouldn't, or you should this and that, because your physical body is very unique to you. And that's where that intuition part comes in, because you already know that sometimes it's not it for you to go do hot yoga, and it's not it for you to keep laying down, and it's not it for you to stay with this exercise regime, or it's not it for you to fill in the blanks. There's a very particular need of your body, and your body's asking for it. So the thing about somatic practices that you have to know is to actually listen to your intuition when it comes to the way that your body is wanting to move and express. So there's emotions that might want to express, but you don't really want to, because it's like, I don't want to talk about my emotions. But what would it be like for you to express it out of your body? Do you want to throw your arms up? Do you Do you want to shake? Do you want to gyrate? Do you want to bounce? Do you want to make a sound? Or do you want to lay? Do you need to incubate? Do you need to insulate? Do you need to, roll into a fetal position with your blankie and your kitties and just like be in this like cuddled moment? Your body is going to tell you what it needs. And sometimes we resist that, right? We think like, I don't want to become sad if I like go into fetal position. But sometimes your body's asking you to do that in order to fully express the emotion and the feelings that is currently presented with, right? It needs a way to express that. So if it's anger, do I take it out on people, or do I actually rage it out? Do I want to put on some music and just like rage it out and go, wah, right? Like just headbang or like punch a pillow, or what is my body asking of me to do? Now, one way to get into intuitive movement, maybe you just have, a natural knack for it and you feel very connected to your body. So you understand, yeah, I'm just going to roll my shoulders and that's enough, or I'm going to move my hips and that's enough. And maybe that is the way that you practice. But another way to get into intuitive movement is to just play some music. So your body's going to say like, yes, let me lean into this movement. Let me lean into this music. Let me lean into this feeling. And sometimes the thing that you're avoiding is the thing that you should lean into a little bit more. So you might be avoiding listening to a certain type of music because it's like, oh, it's going to make me sad. And I don't want to be a sad girl right now, or it's going to make me feel, it's going to bring up stuff that I don't want to bring up. But maybe you just need a good car cry. Like you ever, put on the song and you're just like, oh, and then afterwards you're just like, oh, that was amazing. And you don't carry that with you. But that's literally what somatic healing is that your body craves to express. And we have certain types of shame around expressing. We fear that if we feel the thing that we're going to get stuck there and we don't really want that. And that's a valid fear to have. Or we feel that like, I don't actually want to acknowledge that I feel this. I don't want to acknowledge that I'm sad, or I don't want to acknowledge that I'm angry, or whatever, insert emotion in here. I don't want to acknowledge that. So we kind of walk away from it, but your body is going to tell you what's up. Your body's going to say like, no, like even if you're pretending you're not, it's going to weigh you down. Even if you're pretending, it's going to feel that constriction. Even if you're pretending, your body and what your mind knows and your body knows, it wants to connect. So get into that intuitive movement, whether it's through joining a class, coming to flow breathwork with me, or coming to a dance class, or coming to, just your living room to bounce it out or dance it out, whatever it is, that's a practice that you want to start incorporating in your healing journey. The second somatic practice that you have to have is breath awareness. Now, breath awareness means that you pay attention to the way that you're breathing, because the way that you breathe impacts the way that you feel, and it impacts the way that your body sends information up to your mind to interpret. So a lot of us are chronic breath holders. I know you're breathing because you're alive, right? But if you really pay attention to the depth and the pace and the velocity of your breath, you're holding your breath, my friend, right? It's so shallow. It's in your chest. It's not in your diaphragm. It's not in your belly. It's not in your lower ribs. And this is sending a signal to your body that you're suffocating. And when your body thinks it's suffocating, it is naturally triggered into a survival mode. Your sympathetic nervous state is triggered into a survival state. So this means that you're panicking, your physical body's panicking, even if things are actually okay. But that sense of anxiety, the sense of stress, the sense of something is happening, the sense of nervousness that is always present and you can't really put your finger on it, sometimes it's a matter of just breathing a little bit deeper. It's really that silly and simple. Like just breathe in and breathe out, And it's not to say that things aren't wrong or things aren't happening around you. Of course, all of those things contribute to the way that you feel anxiousness and nervous and stress. Absolutely. But many of these things are self-created because the way that we're breathing, it does not help us feel the flow that we're able to feel. So when you start to bring breath awareness into your practice, you start to know the difference between what is self-created and what is actually happening, right? And actual is subjective because is it actually happening? Who knows? But sometimes we think things are happening because our physical body is in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and friendship mode. So we're in the survival state where we're not really able to think clearly, feel clearly, respond clearly, and we're reacting rather than responding to situations. So you can start to notice wow, I'm actually less stressed and less anxious because I'm noticing that I'm holding my breath. So just by exhaling and noticing that, by exhaling the carbon dioxide from my physical body, I'm supporting my body in feeling not suffocated. And just that simple act of not suffocating is untriggering myself out of survival mode. And I'm giving a very basic example there, but there are many cases in your life where it's like, you don't really have to do all of that. You don't really have to go through all of that. All you really had to do was like literally inhale and exhale in order for your body to relax, to regulate your nervous system, to regulate your emotions, to come into a place of flow and not force, and then be able to respond instead of react. Now, breath awareness is actually number one, but I wanted to say it second. But breath awareness contributes to that intuitive movement, because your intuition starts to kick in when you're able to pay attention to your body a little bit more. So when you're aware, like, oh wow, I actually don't breathe into my chest, or I only breathe into, in my throat, even though I don't have any lungs in my throat, I'm really always breathing into my throat. This is going to support you in understanding, okay, maybe I need to relax my shoulders. Maybe I send my shoulders back, or I move my chest side to side, or I open up my rib cage in a certain way that allows me to feel the sensations of what I want to feel rather than what I'm being tricked to feel because I'm chronically holding my breath, right? And so these practices are too simple, and I think they're too simple, and this is why you need to know that, because a lot of your emotions and the way that you regulate your emotions and some of the things that we think we feel aren't actually real or as important, magnified, amplified as we think they are. It's just amplified and magnified because we're literally not paying attention to the cues of our body. So as you put these practices into play, the intuitive movement and the breath awareness, allow yourself to play with that. You start to notice like, okay, now that I know that I'm breathing this way, is there a part of my body that can open up more? Is there a part of my body that has been wanting to open up more, but because I'm holding my breath, I have never really noticed that? So start to play around with all of those. Of course, if you want to practice intuitive movement and breathwork with me, come to www.flowbreathworktraining.com, where we have tons of practices that are absolutely free for you to dive into this somatic exploration. And of course, if you're wanting to become a breathwork facilitator, you want to learn the number one somatic practice that allows you to connect the mind and the body. You want to learn about the mechanisms of the nervous system, how to deal with trauma, survival modes, energy centers, the way the body processes its emotions. Head to www.flowbreathworktraining.com for more information, and we'll see you in there. And just remember, the world is your playground. And until next time, I will catch you soon.